Back now at 8:19 with legendary rock star Pete Townshend. As lead guitarist for The Who, he has electrified audiences for nearly half a century. He also wrote the majority of his band's classic songs. Well, now Townshend is out with his memoir, Who I Am. Pete Townshend, good morning. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
We're all kind of bowing down this morning. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thanks.
So why did you decide to write your life story?
I decided to write it when I was 20, so it's taken me a long time. It just felt the time was right. I'm 67. If I wait any longer, I could be dead. And there's a lot to say.
The title is Who I Am, a play, of course, on the band's name, but is that a question you think you answer through the book?
I think I do, and I think I have, and that's good. I'm happy today, and I never expected that. I was rather a miserable young man.
Well, what a life you've had, and you speak of misery as a young man. You had a really hard upbringing. You write in the first pages of the book about being sent away to a grandmother who was abusive. Do you think that kind of defined your life and ultimately your music?
It not defined my music, but it definitely came out in it, definitely. And I could see evidence of it in my music that actually did lead me to get therapy, to look at just that, because I could see it in the lyrics, that I'd had trouble as a kid. I didn't remember much about it, but the most important thing was the contrast with the fabulous stuff, the life that I had with my dad, who was a dance band musician, and I was in the bus and travelling with them. So that part of my life was great. Then with my grandmother, it was dark. Then back with the band again. So it was the contrast that was so hard to handle, and I didn't remember much about it until I went into therapy.
Yeah, it seemed a roller coaster ride. And you mentioned that you don't remember much. There are hints in this book of abuse, sexual abuse even, but you never come right out and say it. Is it because you don't remember, or because it's just too painful
partly
to say?
Partly it's because I don't remember, and partly because I don't want to delve too deeply into it. I don't know. I don't know how much I would gain from going into it. And when I was in therapy, I was urged to try to go into regression and pull stuff out. I don't think it was really as serious as so many people suffer. And I do think, too, that redemption for me has been through being creative and allowing it to come out. And the other thing that's been wonderful is I've done that. I've allowed it to come out. Some of it's a bit icky. Some of the scenes in Tommy are rather, dodgy. But it's the public's response to that, to realise that actually there's tremendous sympathy, empathy, and also similar experience for post-war children.
I want to ask you about something that's controversial, and you write about it in the book. You were accused of looking on a child pornography website, and you have given quite a defense of it in your book. Can you explain what happened?
I was trying to prove that credit card companies were taking money for child porn websites. I didn't enter a website, I didn't look at images, and there were a couple of us that were campaigning, and we gave it up in the end because it seemed so futile. It seems strange now that it's been proved that credit card companies could refuse to take money for any website that they choose, but it's just there's too much money out there.
And because of that, you had to actually register as a sex offender.
I had to register as a sex offender because I wouldn't go to court. 11 computers were taken from my house. An investigator found that I hadn't. A forensic investigator found that I hadn't entered the website, and but nonetheless, by the time the case came for the charges came to be presented to me, it was 5 months I had to wait. I was exhausted, and I felt that if I went to court, I would be offering myself up for sacrifice. So I was kind of waiting for this moment to do the book, put it down, and what's actually happened, of course, is that more stuff has come up. A couple of the guys that were on the investigating force have come forward and given me letters to say that they never believed, and there was no evidence that I'd actually entered a website, and a guy called Duncan Campbell got hold of the actual hard drive and said there's irrefutable proof that I didn't enter it. So I feel now I can come and kind of face you a bit, but it would have been tough before, and it certainly would have been impossible for me to go to court.
And there's so much to talk about beyond that, all of your music, some of those wild days. How did you start smashing the guitar, which later became your signature move?
It's kind of a bit arty-farty. I was at art school doing a course which was about radicalisation of art and changing the way that we do art, painting and sculpture. And I used my guitar in a different way on stage. I had big amplifiers, and one day I was hamming around with my guitar and the neck broke off. and I had people in the audience that were from my class at art college, and I think they were kind of looking at me and kind of saying, Pete, this is an opportunity to go the whole way, and I went the whole way, and then it became a gimmick.
There were some crazy days. It's like the classic drugs and rock and roll kind of thing, alcoholism. You went through it, you talk about it in the book. Do you ever just look around and think, I can't believe I'm still here and I made it when so many did not?
That's because I didn't do it properly.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Was there something cathartic about writing this book and putting it all down?
You know, it was. Yeah, there was. I just made a gag about it. There were bits where I thought, I wish there was more. I'm coming across a bit boring and po-faced, but I tell the truth in the book.
Well, the book is not boring, and Pete Townshend, it's an honor to have you here and get to talk to you about it. Thank you. And once again, the book is called Who I Am.